So welcome to our webinar series. Today we have a special guest who was a member of Drake University's, is a Drake University alumni, and she's here to talk about her career with Amazon. So Raquel, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you and let you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what it is that you're doing and where you're coming from.
Sounds good. Yeah. So my name's Raquel Rivera, no middle name. And I graduated from Drake in 2015. That feels like a lifetime ago. And Lindsay kindly reminded me prior to this conversation that it may have been 10 years since I've seen her, but we won't discuss that any further. So I'm originally from Scottsdale, Arizona. That's where I was born. But I've lived in 7 different states since then. My family's just kind of a travel and follow your heart kind of people. So my dad always had different jobs. We were chasing my mom's dream at one point, my brother's and mine. So we moved a lot. But I went to Drake, and I think I started in 2011, and came from Minnesota, where I was at the time. And I majored in magazines to start, and then actually moved into a PR major. And that was because I love storytelling and I love talking to people, but I was kind of conflicted. Do I like writing or do I just really like to talk? It's a little bit of both. But I definitely enjoy the talking part. So my counselor at Drake helped me identify that what I really want to do is HR, so that it's a mixture of talking with people, really solution driven and oriented, and a little bit of data and math. And so since unfortunately we only have an HR concentration at Drake, we decided PR with a concentration in HR would be the perfect match. And it totally was. Man, I love PR, and I feel like PR is really closely related to HR. So that's what I graduated with, so in communications PR. And then it was in May in 2015 that I graduated. And now, fast forward to 2021. Today actually is my first day as an HR manager at Amazon. So I've been promoted a few times at Amazon in the last, I think it's been 4 years and 8 months that I've been with the company. I had a quick sabbatical, if you will, with a startup for 6 months, which was amazing. But so I'd say in about 4 years, about three or four promotions since then. So now I get to manage some folks, and it's pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, and congratulations on your new role. We're so excited for you. And today's the first day. So thank you for making time for us. So can you tell us a little bit? I know this is a new position, so you might have to refer a little bit more to what it was like previously, but what does a day in the life of Raquel look like at Amazon?
Yeah, I can definitely tell you about this job. So a lot of what Amazon does is they really stretch you into the role before you're promoted into the role, right? They just want to make sure that you're capable, that you have the skills in order to do that role. So as an HR manager, I manage anything from an entry level position within HR up to our senior HR business partners. So really what I help is I manage really the strategy of how Amazon functions within a certain business. So I get questions all the time of hey, I know so-and-so in HR at Amazon. Do you know that? And I'm like, absolutely not. There are thousands and thousands of HR employees, and there are thousands of little segments of HR that support different businesses, right? So each business at Amazon can have 3 or 4 different HR teams supporting them. So the business that I currently support is Amazon Transportation Systems, Product and Tech. And so basically, if you think about it, you think, okay, I want a blender and I'm going to order it on Amazon. So I'm going to go to Amazon and I want a hot pink blender. I'm going to click on it and it's going to say 2-day shipping. And you're like, awesome, I'm going to be able to make margaritas this Saturday. So you click on it. And then what happens in the background is all these tech folks are thinking, okay, so how do we get this product within that promise window? So that's basically what my team does, is they figure out how to get the package to you quicker. And sometimes you might be ordering a blender from Iowa, but the package actually isn't going to come from Iowa because the way they fulfill them could actually take longer than our promise. So it could actually be fulfilled faster coming from Florida. So there's all sorts of smart brains that figure that out. That's not my area of specialties, but they figure that stuff out. And then also within Amazon Transportation, Product and Tech is Amazon Air. So it's really cool. I get to work with scientists. They don't wear the long white robe, cape thing that we picture scientists in. Unfortunately, they don't wear that, but they think about if we have 10,000 packages, what kind of plane should we have? How many times does a plane have to fuel up? And like, if it's going this fast, how many days does it take to get there to deliver these packages? Right now, we're currently thinking about how we build charging stations for trucks so that they don't take so long to charge up and we can get packages there faster. So I manage all of those folks. I work with all of those businesses. So I support directors and VPs that work on these products and services. And we think about like org design, one, right? Like we make sure that we have like some structure there so we can get things done. Employee engagement, I experiment a lot and I fail a lot. I'm like, hey, yeah, like I've heard that we could probably do this and this would be awesome. Let's give it a try. And then crickets. Doesn't work, doesn't happen. We get feedback that that was not the right approach. Cool, let's try something else. So I just make sure things are backed up with data, that we have some sort of data that people want this sort of engagement. A lot of what I do is career development, right? Like people want to move on in their careers. People want to get to that dream job where they feel like they're not working anymore. I want to help them get there. And I'd say lastly is kind of like cyclical things that I think a lot of HR folks do at any company, which is like performance reviews, talent reviews, like making sure that we're paying attention to our people and their needs, and either helping people perform better because maybe they're not quite there yet, or giving those top talent performers an opportunity to get to the next thing. So that's a lot of what I do day to day strategy wise. And then I manage a little bit more admin things so that our HR business partners can do a little bit more of the strategy things. So very long winded, but I hope that that gives you a good explanation of kind of what happens in my world as far as the business.
I love it. Okay, so my hot pink blender is going to arrive by Saturday.
Yes, I hope you clicked order already because I think we have like 2 more hours left for that same day shipping.
I love it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your time back at Drake. Again, it was just a couple years ago, Raquel. Yeah. What we're doing, just a few. Okay. So what was your most valuable takeaway from your time in the journalism school at Drake?
Yeah. Oh man, I think like kind of like wine, right? Like the more I age, the more I really just appreciate my experience at Drake, truly. And I kind of thought it would be opposite, right? Like as soon as I come out of college, I was like, oh yeah, like I can totally see how this relates. So I worked on something like that in college, but even just now I was thinking about some of my experiences at Drake. And one is like networking was a really big part of like Drake in general and what I really liked about Drake. So one, I was part of the Greek system, huge advocate for the Greek system. I think it's a great part. I think Drake has really nailed it on the head with the Greek system. I think it's a lot better than a lot of other universities. But I got my first HR gig from one of my sisters at Alpha Phi. That's the best one. And that was my start in my HR career. So I would say networking. And all the networking things that Drake did put on, where we could go meet alumni and other professionals, just even in the community if they didn't go to Drake. That's actually how I got my second job at Nationwide as a recruiter, was from one of those networking events. So people think I'm super extroverted, but I'm actually like so shy when it comes to meeting people. Or if I'm going to a party, I got to have my gang with me, like my girlfriends, right? If I'm going to a party by myself, I'm like, I don't know who I am. I don't know how to dress. Please don't talk to me. So I went to those networking things by myself so that I could get out of my comfort zone and spend time speaking with the professionals. And it worked out in my favor. So I'd say definitely the networking. And then second, I would say the professors, like, man, like professors really care about you. There was not a single professor that I ever talked to about my HR career, even if they weren't in HR. They're like, here's some ways you can tie this class or this experience to HR. So really helping me understand how to tie my experiences to the goal that I wanted was extremely helpful when it came to interviewing and just carving out my career path so that I knew like how to kind of lay those bricks to get to where I needed to go.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, and it was an absolute joy to have you as one of your professors. Do you think that there was a class that really benefited you the most? So I know that you ended up studying PR with the emphasis or with the minor in HR. Was there a class specifically that really benefited you or that you learned the most from? That you recall with takeaways?
Yeah, I think a few. I remember, I think it was JMC 54, if that still exists.
You don't have to say one out loud. I love how you guys are all trying to kiss up to me.
I mean, that was definitely a really, really good one, truly. And then I think probably another one was, I think, just my intro to PR class, because it taught you a lot about, again, really connecting your experiences and how to speak about them. And then 2, storytelling. I did a study abroad program with Drake, the one that you do for, I think it was like a month that we went, and I went to South Africa, and I can't remember the professor's name, but it was called storytelling, and we went to Cape Town, and it was a lot about like, how do you bring experiences, how do you hear all sides of something, bring the experiences together, and then tell a story about it, and that is HR to its core. So again, there is nothing HR about it, but that's like another way to tie it in. So there are too many good experiences and classes that I took, but again, they all connected to each other somehow. And just like yourself, like great professors that like, one, really believe in you, really talk to you, want to take the time to discuss like your dreams and how to get there. And then Dave Raymond, who I don't think is at Drake anymore, but even still today, he connects me with Drake students that have reached out to him. So just like, again, that networking piece is really important.
Yeah, I always tell my students that Drake Bulldogs love Drake Bulldogs. I think that that's a very, very common statement we see, that once you're part of Drake, it's hard to leave it, right? You're always a part of it.
Agreed.
Okay. Is there any advice that you'd give to your first or second year self now, reflecting back on those years? I mean, again, just a couple of years ago, but what kind of advice would you tell yourself if you were to reflect back, or if you could talk to yourself in those early years of your college career?
Yeah. Just a humble reminder that I don't know everything. I think I definitely felt that I did, or that I had more experiences than so-and-so, or whatever it may be. It's just to remind myself there is so much to learn. And I think I did try to take every opportunity, but there are some that I could think of that I didn't go to because I was like, oh, I already know about that. Or maybe a class that I was like, oh, I don't need to take that. I already know about that because I learned in my internship. Again, like reminding myself, like, stay humble, like make sure you're open to all learning opportunities. And then I'd say the second one was, and I'm so glad that I did this, but I think I didn't actually end up securing a mentor until my 3rd year. Should have had a mentor much sooner than that. I think it would have really helped me in just understanding, again, how to tie these classes and to real world experiences. But I really would say, like, get a mentor. Your counselor can help you, your professors can help you make those connections, but having a mentor really helped me understand, to make sure that I knew that HR is what I thought it was. Because again, kind of like when I started with magazines, I was like, editor of Rolling Stone, here I come, this is what I want. And then the more I learned about what being an editor means, I was like, I don't think that's actually what I want. So it helps having someone that's either in that role or has been in that job, so that you understand what that career actually consists of. Because I can tell you now, even as an HR professional at Amazon, there are people who are in jobs that they're like, this isn't what I thought. I don't think a product manager did this work, but it does. And now I don't think I want this job. I want a different job. And so making a career change later in life is a little bit more difficult. 100% possible. Most companies really value mobility, but again, like having that mentor at Amazon also really helps too. So just mentoring is a big piece of advice.
So do you say that that's a big part of what you do too, then, in your day-to-day, is mentoring your?
Yeah. Mentoring everybody. I think I, tried to mentor that chair earlier. Like everybody needs a mentor. I mentor my business. I mentor the people who report to me. I mentor a lot of folks. Like a big thing at Amazon is, so we have what I consider the core of Amazon, which is fulfillment centers, right? Like that's Amazon. That's how we fulfill packages. So that to me is the heart of Amazon. And then we have our corporate side that does all the tech to make that stuff possible. But there are a lot of people who start in a fulfillment center and then want to move to corporate, or people who start in a non-tech job and want to move to a tech job. So that's really where I come in. I'm not in a tech role, but I can tell you how to get there. I can tell you the right moves, the right jobs, the people to speak with, we have courses at Amazon that you can take in order to understand some of our tech resources that I've taken too, right? So I can better support my people or the people that I mentor. So yes, mentoring is a big thing. And everyone should be a mentor to somebody, and you should have a mentor, because really you've got to practice what you preach. And then also like that will actually help you as a person a lot in mentoring someone else to understand kind of where other people are coming from.
Yeah. So working, I'm kind of throwing this one out there. This is not a question that I told Raquel I was going to ask. I kind of gave you a heads up that I might be asking something along these lines, though. Is that just because of your position and because of the role that you hold, is there anything you're seeing in the industry right now, or any advice that you would be giving these students who are maybe wrapping up their college careers and starting to look for jobs? Pieces that are missing, maybe, fair warning stories, things, that you're seeing that are really exciting, maybe a story or two that you've seen that has really excited you from a new candidate that's coming in. Anything along those lines that you want to share?
Yeah. Oh man, like quite a few things. I mean, I think the first one is just speaking from Amazon personally is don't be defeated. It can take a few times. It can definitely take a few tries. And I would say like kind of what I alluded to earlier about opportunities. So when I first graduated from Drake in 2015, so that was in May, I was working as a full-time recruiter at Nationwide prior to graduation, because if you do it right, you'll barely have any classes. And you got a full-time job. It's great because you'll be making money that you didn't have before. So had that, and then I think it was in July or August, I got a job at Nordstrom Corporate as a recruiter in Seattle. So then I went there and I could see the Amazon building from my desk at Nordstrom. And I was like, I want to work there. I have to work there. And it's a long story, but like I basically worked my way to Amazon and like would camp out at the Starbucks at the bottom of the Amazon building to meet Amazonians. But I was offered the role that I was offered because I like full-time roles. Like I'd applied 3 times and I didn't even hear back. And I was like, I have a college degree, I have experience, like what is it? So I finally saw a temp role at Amazon, and it was for recruiting coordinator actually. So I was a recruiter and I saw a recruiting coordinator and I was like, that feels like a step down. And had a really frank conversation with my mentor at the time, who was at Nationwide, who was like, so you're 22. This is your first job and you're worried about taking a step back, you're going to be fine. You will recoup. This is an opportunity at a company you're really interested in. You have 5 seconds of experience. Like, let go of that. You don't know anything yet. And just go talk to them. So I got an interview for the temp role, negotiated my pay. You should always negotiate your pay. Don't ever take it at face value. The worst they can say is, no, this is what we can offer you. And then take it if you're comfortable. But, got the job the next day. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to take it. This is technically recruiter to recruiting coordinator. Title wise feels like a step down. But as soon as I started that job, that was the hardest job I had. Was way different than being a recruiter. It was way more work. And Amazon in itself was just a different beast. And so I was only a temp. I only ended up being a temp for like 2.5 months, and then was converted to a full-time employee. So had I just, had that chip on my shoulder and never taken it, I might not be here today. And so I just really had to remind myself of take the opportunity. Of course, like evaluate it, make sure that it's right for you and what you want to do. But I would definitely say I think being a temp at Amazon is a great way to get into the door. You can network there. You're invited to all the same things that full-time corporate employees are. Just take it. So that would be the first one. And then, so don't be defeated and take the opportunity. And then I would say the second thing is just kind of given the nature of the world right now, is that remote work and working in the office and be flexible. Of course, if you have a strong preference and you need to work from home, make your case, stand to that for sure. But I would say the other part is being flexible. There are lots of Amazon opportunities and some are just based in maybe a different state or a state you don't want to be in. Take it for a year. My dad and I always talk about that. It's you can do anything for a year. And I really do believe that you can do almost anything for a year. And again, getting your foot into the door, if you get an offer, take it, be flexible, go somewhere that you've never been. My fiance actually had an opportunity where he went to Texas, but not the cool part, in the middle of nowhere. And he was there for 8 months, got promoted, moved back. Totally just take it. So I think being flexible with your location or preference in or out of the office, if you can be flexible in that way, would be good. And I know some people have families, so you have to consider that too. But So be flexible, I think, would be kind of a key point for at least Amazon specifically.
Absolutely. Okay, so last question, Raquel, what's next for you? So it sounds like we're planning a wedding.
Yes, we're planning a wedding for sure, which will hopefully, if everything, the world, cooperates, will be in October of next year. So that's cool. But which, by the way, I met him at Amazon. So if you're looking for love, sometimes you find it at the workplace in an appropriate way, of course. So, but it definitely happens for some Amazonians because we work there a lot, and you spend a lot of your time there, and a lot of us are pretty young, right? Amazon hires a lot of young folks, which is cool. But next, I'd say, since I am fairly new to this role and actually starting to support a different business, is really learning their roles. So I have some time set up at the end of this week to what we would call sit and path, which means like I'm going to sit with someone who helps navigate trucks, like the packages that are on trucks. They call central flow, that literally go from one building to the next, develop it to a sort center, to a fulfillment center. So if that part falls apart at Amazon, like we would not function. So that's really important that I know what that does, sit with some ops managers, learn what they do. So going to be sitting in path for some time. But just like everybody, big dreams. I hope to be Jeff Bezos one day. That would be pretty cool. If that means I get to go to the moon, I feel like that'd be pretty rad. But I think, yeah, definitely, hopefully the next thing, which is to be like, keep progressing, whether that means promotion or just learning in general, and helping others learn and get to where they want to be is definitely what I see next for me.
That's awesome. Well, we are so grateful for your time today, Raquel. I know it's busy with starting this new position, and so we are so appreciative of all you do for Drake School of Journalism, for our students, and it's just so wonderful to see one of our alums doing such beautiful, wonderful things out in the world. So congratulations to you on your promotion. Congratulations on your engagement, and all the best for you as we wrap up this session of our webinar series for the SJMC Days. So thank you so much for your time, Raquel.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.